All right, what's going on? Hope you are doing fantastic. Welcome to a very, unfamiliar setup, a different setup, okay? Now, little spoiler alert here. This is for my business YouTube channel. Now, if you are not a business owner or at least a sales manager, that is not for you, that channel, okay? But if you are, it's called Scott Brunning Scaling. Go and check it out. We go very deep into some high-level things that I do when I run teams. Now, in terms of today's video, this is a pretty highly requested one in terms of how to land a sales role, how to land on an offer, okay? Now, just like with last week's video with Jalen on the appointment setting side, which I got crazy good feedback from. If you haven't checked it out, go and check it out. I always want to bring in the best of the best, okay? I know my shit, but I also am very cognitively aware that there are always going to be people that are more within that world. So for today's video, I'm bringing in a guy called Jackson, who is a fucking warrior. So he has placed thousands of sales reps. He's in constant communication with business owners every single day. He knows exactly what they're looking for in terms of the looms, in terms of the interview process, how to get in front of business owners in the right way. So many things, and he's recorded a very high level, let's just call it a masterpiece in terms of how to execute on all of those things, okay? I will also be giving my thoughts, my feedback, my experience, because I've also gone through thousands of applications myself when I was hiring with Aman, when I'm hiring setters and closers right now. Obviously, I'm running multiple teams. So there are things from my perspective, but first I want to make sure that we are locked into the value that he is giving, and then I will also share some of my thoughts, okay? So let's crack on in. Enjoy.
So, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, I'm going to tell you everything that you need to know in order to land jobs in the remote high-ticket sales space. This will be all the source you need to successfully go out there and land great jobs with great businesses. Before I get into the essentially 6 things that I'm going to tell you about, I first want to cover who am I. I'm Jackson Bardsley. Over the last 3 years, I've helped thousands of sales reps land roles in this remote high-ticket sales space, and I've worked with hundreds of businesses to help them hire sales reps. So I'm relatively in the know when it comes to what works for sales reps when they're trying to land roles, and what businesses look for when they're hiring to fill these roles. So that's who I am. Let's get into the first 4 things that I'm going to speak about here, which are essentially the 4 outputs that you need to do to find success in landing roles in this space. And what I mean by that is these are the 4 actions that you need to consistently take in order to be successful when it comes to landing roles. The number one factor that will determine whether you do or don't land roles is what you do, right? How you work, how hard you work, the way that you work in order to land these roles. So these are going to be the 4 things that you need to do in order to successfully land roles in this space. Number 1 is you need to do a high volume of applications. You need to get in front of as many opportunities as possible so that you can put as many opportunities on the table in front of you as possible, right? Think about it like this. Someone who does 10 applications, even if they're perfect, if they're the best applications ever, at most, realistically, they might hear back from 6, right? They might hear back from 6 businesses and interview with those 6. And from those 6, if they interview relatively well, maybe they'll get 3 opportunities on the table. So 10 applications, 3 opportunities on the table. Whereas someone who does 100 or let's say 200 applications over a couple of weeks, right? And they're decent. They don't need to be perfect. They don't need to be the most amazing applications ever, just decent. But they do 200 applications. Let's say they get a 10% hit rate on their applications, right? So that means that of the 200, they have 20 interviews lined up. And from those 20 interviews, they do the same as the guy who perfected their applications, right? They get a 50% hit rate. That's 10 opportunities now on the table, right? That's over 3 times more simply by doing a much higher volume. Now, that might sound still pretty crazy or pretty ludicrous in terms of, doing 200 applications, and that's not necessary. If you do 50 applications, you should have a good 5 to 10 opportunities on the table, given your applications are decent and you do the next 3 things that I'll speak about here in a second. But that's kind of the number one most important thing is the volume of applications you send out. If you send out hundreds of applications, you will inevitably land a good role with a good company. It's literally impossible to fail if you just keep doing it consistently for a long amount of time, a high volume of applications. You will at some point get so good at applying, so good at interviewing because of the volume and iteration that you're doing, that you land a great role with a great company. So that's number one. The second piece of that is you can't do a high volume of applications unless you have a high volume of opportunities in front of you. So the network that you're a part of, the whatever it is, right? Whether you work with a coach, whether you just go out and find a bunch of people online, whatever it is, the network of opportunity is the next most important thing. My number one thing for this would be Facebook groups, no go. Don't go to Facebook groups to try to find jobs in this high ticket sales space. You will be just sent a bunch of scam stuff and BS. So that would be the one thing I'd stay away from. But otherwise, if you can get in front of a great network of job opportunities, and therefore give yourself an opportunity to apply to a super high volume of businesses that are hiring, that's where you're going to find the most success. So that's the most important, in my opinion, out of these 4 outputs. The next is custom tailored Loom videos. And what I mean by that is in pretty much all of the applications you'll see in this online space, businesses will ask you to send a Loom video. The Loom video is an introduction video. It's, in my opinion, 60 to 90 seconds long. Some businesses might ask for it to be just 60 seconds. Some might ask for it to be 5 minutes, whatever, right? In my opinion, the best Loom videos are 60 to 90 seconds long, and I'll get into exactly what to include in a second. But what a lot of people will do is they'll film one Loom video that's decent, or that's great, right, even, and they'll send it out to everyone. What happens then is if you do 100 applications, you send your Loom video to 100 people, let's say, around half of them actually watch it, you're going to end up with the Loom video that was filmed 2 weeks ago that has 57 views on it, that every other business that you send that to sees, okay, well, this has been sent to all these businesses and no one's hired this person. Why should I even waste my time watching this, right? They didn't put any effort in. They didn't care about my company and applying to my business. They just cared about getting another application out there. They're not there is no reason for them to watch your Loom video, let alone bring you to the next stage, which is the interview stage, right? So that being said, you need to create custom tailored Loom videos. They need to be specific to each offer and each business that you are applying to. When you do that, you allow yourself in this part of the Loom video, which I'll speak about here, to show the business why you're the right sales rep for their company. Not just why you're a good sales rep in general, which is what you would have to do and what you would have to speak about in a generalized Loom video, but you can speak about why you're the right sales rep for their company. Why is their business the right fit for you, and why are you the right fit for their business, right? And so that's the most important piece about these custom tailored Loom videos. And that's, in my opinion, the most important piece of Loom videos in general. But I'll get into the 4 parts of the Loom. The first is an intro. This is very short, very sweet. Who are you? Hey, I'm Jackson, 22 years old, based out of Toronto, right? That's it. Very short. It doesn't need to be telling them your social security number and everything else, right? It needs to be very short, and the energy level needs to be high, right? Hi, I'm Jackson, 22 years old from Toronto, versus what's going on? I'm Jackson, 22 years old from Toronto, and I'm going to be your next killer sales rep, right? That, much better. The energy in the intro is the most important part. More important than what you say is how you say it, because in those first 5 seconds, that's when the person watching your Loom video is determining, is this person someone I want to even spend the next 2 minutes or the next minute of my time watching them speak? Because I'm going to know in those first 5 seconds, does this energy match what I'm looking for? If it does, great. If it doesn't, okay, I'm not going to move forwards. I know a lot of recruiters and a lot of business owners in this space who will not watch past 15 seconds of a Loom if the energy is not right. So that's number 1. Number 2 is past experience. This is where, ideally, if you have past sales experience, this is an important piece for you. If you don't have past sales experience, this is a little bit different. I'm going to speak to it from the perspective of someone who has experience, is where you want to speak about, at a very general level, the industries you've worked in, the achievements that you've had in them, and that's about it. That's pretty much all and the time that you spent in those. So what I mean by that is, rather than what a lot of people are doing, which is storytelling in this part, I don't recommend that you go and say, well, first I worked here and I did this and I did that and we sold these things to these kind of people. And then I moved over here and I sold this and I worked in this industry and we did that, right? That is way too long-winded. It's way too confusing, and it gives too much opportunity for potential red flags to come up. And I'll speak about what I mean by that in a second. But the right way to do this is, over the last 3 years, I've worked in this, and this industry, and I've closed a total of $3.2 million at a 50% close rate, right? Whatever it is how long have you spent, the industries you've worked in, and the number 1 metric, or number 1 and number 2 metrics you achieved there. right? So it could be the revenue that you generated and the close rate that you had. It could be that you were a top performing rep on the team for 6 months in a row and you broke this company record. It could be that you set a total of 7,000 appointments and you helped generate X amount in revenue. It could be that you generated a certain amount of pipeline value for the business. Whatever it is, right? You want to talk about the number one metric or the number two and the number two metric that you achieved within that business. That is where we talk about past experience. Very high level. It's not going into the weeds of it. And when I spoke about you potentially open yourself up for red flags, this is what I mean, right? Is if I get on my Loom video and when I speak about my past experience, I talk about all of the stuff that I did. We did these type of sales and it was this sales cycle and we sold this kind of thing and it was to these sort of people. What I do when I go through all of those details is I open myself up to scrutiny of this part, right? Maybe the sales duration, the sales cycle duration is not the same as ours. So this person isn't a good fit, right? Whereas if instead of going into the weeds of all of that, I just said, I sold in this industry and I sold this amount in revenue, then I'm like, okay, this is a qualified, experienced sales rep. Let's move forwards, right? So that's the difference between going into storytelling and detail-oriented mode versus high-level, general confidence in your past experience, move on mode, right? So that's past experience. This should only realistically be 10 to maybe 20 seconds, right? That's it. Now, offer fit. As I said before, this is the most important piece. Offer fit refers to how do you show this business that you're the right fit for them specifically. And what I mean by that is rather than saying, I love XYZ that you sell, right? I love that you guys do this, right? I love that you sell lead gen to real estate agents, which is what a lot of people say in their Loom video. I say, I know I would crush it selling this lead gen to real estate agents because I actually, my mom's a real estate agent. I saw her struggle so much, especially in the beginning of her career, to get the right leads in front of her, to get the right houses and listings in front of her so that she could be successful. I saw that pain and the struggle. And so I know what these prospects are dealing with, the problems that they're facing. And I know how to make sure that they make the right decision for them, which I wish I could have helped my mom make 5 years ago when she got started in that career. And I want to be able to help people not make that same mistake that she did, right? It's the relation from you and your personal or third party experience in your circles, right? That you can show makes you a right fit for the business. So that's kind of option number one is you relate yourself or someone else that you know to the prospect. I understand the prospect because I've been this person or I know someone who's been this person. I understand their pain. I empathize with their pain. I've seen the successes or I've seen the failures, whatever it is. You almost bring like emotion to the table. I understand and empathize with XYZ that your offer is dealing with, right? Or if you don't have a direct kind of link there, right? If you personally and a third party person from your life doesn't have a direct connection to the client avatar that the business is targeting, what you can speak about instead is the business itself. I really resonate with XYZ testimonials I saw on the website, or with John, the founder's story and how he came up from blah, 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 right? You can resonate with the business itself, but still, rather than just saying, I like that you do this and I like that you do that and I like that you get this result, which a lot of people do, you want to talk to specifics that you resonate with personally that are going to make you a better fit, either culture-wise or offer-wise to the business. Right? So that's kind of number 3 is how are you a good fit for the business itself? Relate yourself to their offer. Show them specifically why you are going to crush it selling for them and have conviction in that fact. Rather than just, I would really like to sell for you guys for this reason. It's, I know I'm going to crush it selling for you guys for this reason, right? Have confidence, have conviction in yourself. Final piece of this is the call to action, right? This is the conclusion of the video. What a lot of people will do at the end of their video is they might say something like this. Thanks so much for taking the time to watch my video. I really hope that I hear back from you guys. Thanks again. That's the end of a lot of people's Loom videos. Instead of that, which is lowering your status, I hope I hear back from you. No expectation, right? I want to put an expectation on the table. I want to almost do the assumed close that you do in sales, right? How would you like to pay? By card or as a wire transfer best, right? Instead of that, in this case, it's let me know when we can chat. Do you want to chat on Tuesday or you want to chat on Wednesday? I'm free at this time or I'm free at that time, right? almost the assumed close of we're getting to the next stage. I'm going to the interview. So how this would kind of look holistically is, John, thanks so much for taking the time to watch my Loom video. I'm really looking forward to hearing back from you. I'm free anytime in the afternoon this week after 5 p.m. Eastern. Let me know when works best for you. Looking forward to talking soon. Right? That elevates my status. There's an expectation. And then when the recruiter finishes watching that video, instead of them going, okay, on to the next one, right? I go, damn, I guess we got to get a time on the calendar for after 5 p.m. Eastern time with Jackson, right? It's an assumption, and it's also an elevated status, and it's just like pushing us forwards to that next step, which is the goal of the Loom video. It isn't to land the role. It isn't to give all the information about our experience. It isn't to show them everything they need to know. It's to get them to the interview, which is this third piece here. So, interview preparation. A lot of people ask me, how do I interview? How do I answer interview questions? All of this stuff. It comes down to preparation. That's the most important thing. To be successful in interviews, you need to be prepared for your interviews. And there's two ways you come prepared for interviews. You come prepared generally for interviews, and you come prepared for the business specifically that you're interviewing for. And what I mean by come generally prepared, it's just know what types of questions are likely going to be asked in an interview and be prepared to answer those questions. You don't need scripted answers. You don't need all of this stuff. You just need to know, I'm probably going to be asked about this. I'm probably going to be asked about that. And I need to have done the thinking about these questions before I get in that interview and I'm asked it, because the biggest problem I see most people make in interviews is they're asked a question and they've never thought about this question before. I've never thought about the time that I had to deal with the worst manager of my career, right? I've never thought about that before. I've never thought about a time where I was faced with a big weakness that I have personally and had to overcome it in a high pressure scenario in work, right? I've never thought about this specific thing, and therefore when I go to answer the question, either I'm going to freeze because I need to do my thinking, right? And it's going to be awkward and it's going to seem weird and I'm going to seem uncomfortable and not confident, or I'm going to start answering, but I'm starting to answer before I've actually finished my thoughts, and therefore my answer comes out all over the place. You sound like an idiot and you sound unprepared, right? So what you need to do is know the types of questions and come prepared to answer them. You don't need to have scripts. You just need to think about each question, then get on the interview. And then when you're asked it, you've already done the thinking. It's just a matter of doing the talking. And I have a document that I'll give to Scott that he can put in this video. Hopefully you'll see it somewhere in the description. And you can take a look at that video, and if you have any questions on it, feel free to leave them in the comments. But it's essentially just a list of like 45 interview questions that I see commonly asked in this space. And there's, for sure, I should say, there will be sub questions or questions that are asked differently and things like that. Like there'll be questions that, aren't phrased the same way as they're phrased in the doc, but it's essentially the same thing. And so you will be prepared to answer those questions. So that's that. It's just a document with a bunch of questions, so you'll have access to that somewhere in the description. The final thing is business research. So you need to be prepared for the offer itself. You don't need to do a whole load of research. Just come prepared. Know 4 things, or essentially 2 things. Know who are they selling to, right? Who's the business selling? Who's their prospect? Who's their target avatar? And know what they're selling. If you know those 2 things, you're good to go for an interview, because you might be asked questions about the prospects or the services that they sell or the info that they sell or whatever. And if you're not prepared to answer those questions, you're going to be in a very difficult spot. And when I talk about those 2 things, the reason I said you need to understand 4 things is because they've kind of got a piece of each of them. One is you need to understand who they're selling to, and you also need to understand the pain that person is in, the problems they're dealing with that makes them come to this business, right? So you need to understand who you're selling to and what their pain is. And then the third and fourth thing, obviously, is you need to understand what they're selling, and you need to understand, in addition to what they're selling, how it solves the problem and what the goal outcome is, right? So you need to understand who we're selling to, what their pain is, the solution to that pain, and the goal outcome of that solution. You understand those 4 things and you should be pretty good to go, and that shouldn't take you realistically more than 15-20 minutes. Take a look at some testimonials. Those will usually show you, hey, I was in this position before I worked with Bob, and then I came into the program and now I'm at this position. You'll see just from that one testimonial, okay, this person was dealing with this pain before, this is the type of person they were, this is the solution that they received, and this is the goal outcome that they got, right? You'll understand those 4 things. So that's business research. Final thing is persistent follow-up on applications and interviews. A lot of people, for some reason, I have no idea why, don't ever follow up. They interview with businesses or they apply, and then they say, oh, they never got back to me. Well, I'm going to just go and apply somewhere else. Why? Follow up. Your follow-up is a key piece of your sales skills inherently when you're in an offer. And so if you can't demonstrate to a business in the process of trying to land a role with them and actually come on board with them and successfully be a sales rep, if you can't demonstrate prior to that you can follow up, why would the business trust in you to deal with their prospects that they're spending money on and follow up consistently and proactively with those prospects? They can't, because you didn't demonstrate to them in the process prior to landing the role that you could even follow up to get the job. So if you're not going to follow up with me to get the job, I have zero belief or faith in you following up with prospects to get them to close, right? So that's a big piece of landing these roles is your follow-up. And you should be following up after applications if you haven't heard anything. And you should be following up after interviews if you haven't heard anything. Because is that a I don't think that's a word. Anyway. Yeah, you need to be following up if you have or you haven't heard back after an interview. So do your follow-up. I have a video on my YouTube channel, not to plug my YouTube channel, but I have a video in there that covers like the cadence of follow-ups I recommend and then the contents of your follow-up. So I don't know, maybe that'll be linked in the description. You can check that out. But yeah, that's a big piece of the process is your ability to follow up consistently. So those are the 4 outputs. If you do these 4 things, you will be hired. It is inevitable that you will be hired because you're doing enough volume of custom Loom videos, you're prepared for your interviews, and you're following up. You will be hired. I've never in my life, in the 3 years that I've been helping people land roles, seen someone consistently do all 4 of these things and not land a role, right? And not land multiple roles. So do these 4 things and you'll be successful. Final 2 things here that I wanted to talk about are essentially the only 2 things you need to get hired. Now that might sound a little bit weird because I just told you do these 4 things to get hired, but what I mean by this is these are the only 2 things that matter in the hiring process to businesses, right? These are the only 2 things that businesses will look at to determine whether or not they're going to hire you. The first is your fit, right? Your fit to their offer and their business. There's 2 pieces of your fit. One is team. Do you fit in the team? Do you match the culture? Is your energy right? Are you a fit for their internal team and organization? That is important. You need to demonstrate in the process of landing a role that you are a fit for their team and their culture. Some businesses will have a very laid back, very professional, very nonchalant culture. Some businesses will have a very high energy, high intensity, highly competitive culture. You need to understand what that culture looks like, and you need to fit yourself within that culture to land a role. Now, that being said, I don't really recommend that you try to mesh yourself with a business if it's not naturally a fit. So if the culture of a team is not a good fit for you, I wouldn't pretend to be a match to that culture just to land a role, because then you're going to land a role that you don't actually enjoy, that you're not actually a fit for, and you're just not going to have a good time in general. So this is a part of it, but I wouldn't recommend changing yourself to match that. The next piece is a fit with the prospect. And this is what I was speaking about before here, that these 2 things were what I was speaking about before, is either you show that you're a fit for the business, you resonate with the business and its results, or you resonate with the founder or the team of the business, right? Or you resonate with the prospect. If you can show a business, I get your prospect, even if you don't have experience, even if you don't have anything else, if you show them you get the prospect and you can sell consistently and confidently to their prospect because you get it, you just understand who they are and what they're dealing with, you're going to be able to land roles because businesses will trust in you to speak it consistently and confidently to their prospects and close deals or set appointments, right? So you need to show the business that you're a team fit and a prospect fit and just generally a business and offer fit for them. Now, the final thing is skill. Now, this is probably the biggest question I get by people is, I don't have experience. How do I land a role? All these businesses ask for experience. This is the way that I view it, and this is the way that it just is in reality, is being experienced doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. It is what it's a fugazi, it's a wazi, it's a woozy, right? It is nothing. Experience is nothing inherently. The reason businesses ask for experience is because typically, if you have 2 years of experience or $500,000 of cash collected experience, you are good enough to remain in this space for 2 years, or you are good enough to collect $500,000 in cash, and therefore your skill is at the level they're looking for. Now, the benefit of this for you guys who don't have experience is that therefore you don't need experience to apply to these roles, you just need skill. So either right now you have or you don't have skill. Either way, you can go and get that skill by practicing and leveling up your skills, investing in mentorship, working with coaches, watching videos like these on Scott's channel, right? And learning everything necessary to be skilled. Or you already have the skill, you just don't have the experience, and all you need to do now is apply, have some balls, have some confidence, and come at the application like you are experienced. I've got the skill of a $10 million closer. I don't have the experience of closing $10 million, but I'm going to outperform your whole sales team, right? You come into an interview. So in your application, you said you didn't have XYZ experience. Yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, if you want to jump into a role play right now, we could do that. I could close you right now and show you the skills that I have. I know I don't have all the experience, but I know I'm going to outclose your whole team. So just let me know. We can jump on that role play, right? You don't need to be that cocky, ego-driven guy, but have the confidence in your skill. If you have confidence in your skill, apply to these businesses that ask for experience, despite lacking the experience. Apply to them, interview with them, grab yourself by the balls and have the confidence, right? Whether you're a man or a woman, have the confidence that you're going to crush it because you have the skill necessary to do so. So that's the final thing that I'm going to talk about there is skill is important. Experience means nothing, right? You don't need experience to succeed in this space. You just need skill, and you can get skill without experience. It's just that typically skill comes with that experience. So demonstrate the skill through either jumping on a role play with the business owner or the sales manager or the recruiter live, or send them a call recording or a mock call recording that you have that they can watch to see your skill. Have the confidence and conviction in yourself and your ability. That's what's going to turn you over. That's what's going to, using the corporate language, move the needle with you landing these roles, is the confidence and conviction you have in your own skill and ability. So that's everything, right? Do the volume. Make sure you're in a good enough network to do the volume. Create custom Loom videos. Come prepared for interviews, both generally and with business research. Be persistent in your follow-up. Show the business that you are a team and a prospect fit, and then demonstrate your skill, and you will land roles. This is everything you need to know. Hopefully that was enough sauce. And yeah, appreciate you watching. Cheers.
Okay, so I hope that you enjoyed that. Now I want to give some of my kind of tactical thoughts, kind of piggybacking off of some of the things that Jackson has gone through on that video, okay? So I have gone through thousands of applications, genuinely thousands. When I used to hire for Iman, we'd do setters and closers, and we would get thousands of applications. And I legitimately would go through them all, okay? And there was a point that Jackson made on there, which is like those first kind of 5-10 seconds. If you're applying for an offer, even remotely big, I promise you there's some motherfucker like me that is looking through those and is cutthroat. Okay, that I was literally like, click on a video, right? Starts playing. Nope. 3 seconds, okay? Now, what was I looking for within that? Okay, I was looking for energy, presence, and then how much thought has gone into this loom. So, for example, this is something that I would constantly see, and it's crazy. And these things sound so basic, but like, fuck, guys, take some pride in your looms, okay? Let's say that I was recording a loom, okay? They click record. It's like this. Hey guys, super excited to be recording this loom. You're done. You're fucking off. You're in like the blacklist, dude. You're terrible. Like, click the fucking button and lock in immediately. And if you can't do that, at least chop it. It's like, dude, like you're gonna have 3 seconds of silence. Crazy. Okay? This is my types of looms. Hey, what's going on? My name is Scott. Super excited to be recording this loom, and I'm going to run you through very quickly why I'm going to be the best fit for your team. Done. Good energy, and it's the premise underneath it. I'm not saying that's the opening line that you should use on your looms. It doesn't matter. It's whatever matches your personality. But the point is that I'm in. I'm fucking, hey, this is why you should hire me. It's not like fucking little bit of like, hey guys, done, you're gone, okay? So that is the first thing. I know it's really small, but it's like, understand that there will be someone reviewing your looms that is probably very cutthroat because they're just looking for the best of the best. That is how it is. They're looking for who can I genuinely imagine on my offer. And that first section is nothing to do with skill, nothing to do with past experience, everything to do with energy and how sharp you are. That's it. If you go through the Jordan Belfort thing, it's like sharp as attack and an expert, right? Are you actually coming across as that? You can fake it till you make it, right? You don't have to be the person that is closed $7 million in the high ticket space and jumps on. Like, that's not the first thing you would say anyway. It's all energy, okay? So that is the first thing that is so important, that is really, really, really not done well, because I've reviewed a fuck ton of looms. The second thing that I'm going to say is the whole kind of, because I know that people have come to this video thinking, okay, what's like the, the Instagram outreach method that I should utilize, and what is the email outreach? It's like, do it, okay? Have it going, send them out, be consistent with it. But I need you to understand that high ticket sales has become the, it's become the woman in the red dress in the online space, okay? Everyone's trying to get into sales. Everyone thinks they deserve a great role. The foundational baseline of skill in sales is so fucking low. It's at an all-time low. So it takes very little to get into a position where you're actually considered good. The issue is that when you're in this position, it's very brutal because there's so much competition and you don't have proof of concept yet. Now, you don't even need proof of concept. You just need good energy and conviction, and you'll already be a step ahead of these people. But my point here is, like, you are going to be in a sea of shit if you are messaging a business owner like, hey, are you guys in need of an appointment setter right now? It just is like, it's worth it because it's still being productive, but understand that the payoff and the ROI is always going to be very low, and it's probably going to continue to get lower and lower as time goes on. So if you're not already doing it, time to do it. Otherwise, you'll be that schmuck 3 months from now, like, oh, I wish I'd just done this earlier, okay? So the point that I'm trying to make with this is do it personalized, and have some type of pattern interrupt with it. Okay? Anything that will allow you to actually just come across as someone unique. Right? It doesn't matter whatsoever. Okay? Like, if you come in, I was always sending voice notes. Always voice notes. Hey, I'm not booty calling you right now. I just wanted to say that I love this, and this about your brand. I think you're an absolute stud. And I was super curious whether you had any roles at the moment for an appointment setter, because I would love to be a dog on your team. Now, again, it's the premise underneath it. Everyone's looking for like a word track or some bullshit. That's really not the point. Right? I wouldn't say, for me it works, like make a joke about booty calling or something, like it's very on brand with my character. If it's not, then don't do it, okay? But my point is, like, that's a pattern interrupt. It's gonna definitely make you stand out a ton more than anyone else, okay? But it is the biggest thing that you can do, just getting into some form of community with roles. Now, obviously, sales.io is where I do a lot of coaching. We have a ton of roles within there that get posted every single day from Jackson at a very high level. And it's looking at like what the opportunity cost is of not investing into something like that, right? And I'm not even like, this isn't a sales.io plug. I don't give a fuck who or where you join to find a role. This is more the premise of, like, let's say you drop $100 a month, or even fucking 5K on a high level mentorship or whatever it might be, and you've got an abundance of opportunities. If you didn't do that and it takes you 3 months to land a role that could pay you, let's say, 4K a month as an appointment setter, you've lost out on $12,000. So dropping 5K there and then, and even if it's super tough, back against the wall, we've kind of gone through this on the finale of the only sales training you'll ever need, right? I put my back against the wall, I invested into something, and it kind of fucked me financially, but that had a huge payoff in the end. So you got to really weigh up that. It's like, well, I could just cold outreach for 3 months straight, and maybe by the end of that I'll land a role. Or I could find some type of sales placement community, whether it's $100 a month type one where you don't have any training and things like that, or whether it's like, I actually want to get dialed in, I want to improve my skills, I want to go through the training, and I want to have an abundance of opportunities. and then you're coming in as like the full kind of complete package as well, okay? So the biggest thing that I can say is like actually weigh up the opportunity cost, because everyone's kind of looking for like, well, you know, what's the easy way that I can reach out on Instagram and land a role? It's like there is no easy way. It requires grit, it requires volume, and everyone's like, oh yeah, like I'm outreaching right now. It's like, cool, how many Instagram messages you send? Oh, a lot. Okay, give me a quantifiable number. I sent 5 yesterday, cool. Then you want extraordinary results by doing the ordinary or even below ordinary, okay? And that showcases that you're probably not even going to be good at sales because you're just doing baseline, like average shit, okay? So that's one of the biggest things that I can say is like, weigh up that opportunity cost. There are so many sales placement roles, there are all of these things. And then the other side is like, start getting fucking deep onto sales coaches and all of this shit. Like, for example, with me, pretty common. I don't know if you can hear the birds going on outside right now. There's some kind of bird orgy, but it's pretty common that I will post a story saying, hey, I'm looking for setters right now. Here's a link. Pretty easy to suddenly get an actual application rather than just cold outreach. Just be following a lot of sales coaches, okay? It's like using your brain, okay? So the biggest thing I can say is like weigh up the investment side, because the chances are the ROI is significant, okay? And that's the second thing that I think is just so important. The third thing that I want to say, and this is more of a holistic thing, is there are so many people who have barely been a closer. Like, I don't know, they were a closer on their own agency and they closed fucking 2 clients. Or they were a closer on some really new fresh fitness coaches offer that like had barely any proof of concept, and now they're looking for closing roles, and they're looking for like this unicorn closing role. And it's like, not only are you probably fairly shit at sales, but you actually don't know what it takes and what it means to be part of a high performing team. And that's not bad. That's not your fault. But the point that I'm making here is you have to lower your ego. The best thing that you can do when you're landing a sales role is be humble, remove the ego, and join as an appointment setter. If it's a genuinely good offer, you are gonna learn so much from joining that offer. You're gonna learn the offer without having to waste a fuck ton of opportunity costs because you were burning through sales calls. You're going to be able to learn from other closers that are cranking it out right now because you're actually on a high performing team. You're going to be able to make money because as an appointment setter on a good offer, you will still make decent money, but then you're going to be able to rise up the ranks, right? The level that you can join as a closer on will be lower in terms of the actual credibility of that offer. Whereas as an appointment setter, you can join at a much better offer, and you're capped. Let's say both roles you make 4K a month. But the upside potential of this one could be 20K a month. It's like lower the ego, jump in, because I actually get messages about this very, very regularly. Like, hey, well, I've been a closer for a few months, but like, you know, this certain offer that's like got a good name, you know, said that they'd be happy to hire me as an appointment setter. I don't know if I should take it. Why would you not take it? It's like, it's so bizarre to me. It's like this feeling of entitlement. Like, oh, well, I deserve better. Says who? Like, have some fucking humility and jump in at the role that will allow you to just catapult up, okay? So that is point number 3, because I just see it constantly, okay? Everyone say hello to Enzo. This is a super unprofessional little section I'm going to add in. I was editing the video, took a break from editing the video, now been going through setter applications, and I am blacklisting anyone that has 0 experience but is saying, I want to be making 15K within the next 1, 2, 3 months. I just know that they are basically been sold on the pipeline dream of like, oh, you can become an appointment setter, work 2 hours a day and fucking make 10K a month. It's bullshit. It's just retarded. Yes, as a closer, you should be absolutely striving for those numbers and way more. But if you have no experience and you have almost nothing to bring to the table yet, and you're like, I want to make 15K, I know that you're going to be very uncommitted. You're going to leave an offer the moment that you jump on board, and you maybe have an onboarding process a little bit, and within the first month you're like, oh, I only made 6K, fuck this place, and then you're just hopping offer to offer, and you're just a loser and you're just a schmuck. Okay, so that's the kind of person where I know that they've just seen some videos, they think they're going to be able to work 2 hours a day and they're going to make 15 grand from it, and it's just stupidity. Okay, if you are a brand new setter, you've never been on an offer before, it's much better to, I want to know what your minimum would be, right? In terms of like, what do you actually need to survive? That's very good for me to know. And then after that, I want you just to be very transparent towards where you're at the goals that you want to do in terms of like, I want to be a dog. My goal is to become the number one performer on the team. I want to break records. I want to do this, that. Obviously, I have very high financial goals because I always want to be striving for the best. But more importantly than that right now is my own personal growth and my own connection and culture building within a company that I can truly grow within. That type of thing I will actually go through the loom. If you're someone who's like zero sales experience, but I invested into is it like affinity sales training or whatever is like popping off at the moment because it's kind of like low ticket. Like, it's good that you've made an investment into yourself, but you have no experience. Stop demanding 15K from a setter role. Very unprofessional section of the video, but so important. Okay, final point that I want to make. Taking pride in kind of everything that you do. Understand that this is you technically trying to impress a business. So why are you half-assing it? And what I mean with this, let me give you an example. I literally reviewed a loom a few days ago. I actually thought like this person could be good. The reason I will never hire him, I could barely even hear his voice. There was some aircon unit going crazy in the background. I don't know if it was about to fucking explode or what, but I could barely hear his voice. It was recorded just on his phone, kind of like this. That ridiculously low level of intention says to me that that's him trying to impress me. Imagine what that shit's gonna look like when he is getting comfortable on my offer. He will be way, 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 way below the baseline of expectation, okay? So it's like, take some fucking pride, okay? Like, I said this in my first sales YouTube video. You just get a pair of Apple wired headphones, have the microphone kind of close to your mouth. That's decent audio quality. Job done. Just sit somewhere that actually looks kind of nice in terms of the background, right? Ideally do it on a laptop camera. Like, obviously I've got a nice camera. You don't need that. Just FaceTime camera, HD camera, or whatever it's called on your Mac is fine. It's good enough. But like, have a little bit of like reasonable lighting. Just setting a tiny, tiny bit of intention, okay? And then with that as well, it's like, try and show your character a little bit. Because if and this is the other pet peeve, right? Is like, if I can, and I can always spot this. If you've got like a little Google document like on your monitor, like over here, and you're like looking at the camera, and then I kind of see your eyes like dot over there, because you don't even have a cognitive brain to know what you're fucking talking about. It's like me right now, I'm looking at my camera's right here. Above is like the preview of me. I'm ripping this off the cuff. I know what I'm talking about, okay? It's like, if I can see that you've just got some random script next to you and you're like, oh, so the reason I'm going to be good is I used to work in Asda and there I learned some customer service skills. It's like, oh my God, get this man off of my screen, okay? So it's like, it's literally just like, are you able to show your character without having to read through a Google document as well? I will always make some little jokes about like why I'm going to be the biggest dog on your team, right? Or like, like I said with the voice note one, like I'm not trying to booty call you. Now, I'm not saying say that on a loom, absolutely don't. But you get my point. It's like my character will seep out. And that's why long before I started to get like, quite a decent amount of, I guess, accolades in terms of cash collected and people that I'd worked with and stuff, I still had very good impressions from looms that I would send out, right? Because like when I was running my agency, no case studies, no credibility, but I would send out looms and I would get genuinely good response rates. Now it's a different dynamic a little bit, but it's also similar. It's like, hey, I'm trying to convince, it's either, hey, I'm trying to convince you, like I was running my agency to become a client for me, or hey, I'm trying to convince you to hire me. Same shit, they're both actually looking to hire. So my point there is like, good energy, showcase your character a little bit, fuck it. I remember so distinctly, I wonder if he'll watch this video because I'm bad with names, I can't remember the name. This guy, when I was working for Iman, drew a picture of Iman, but he played it off in such a charismatic way that I was like, we got him on an interview and he was probably the least qualified out of all of the other applications that we had in terms of actual closing experience, but I had to get him on an interview because he was like, hey guys, before we dive in, this is a picture I drew of Iman. Pretty good, right? Now, I want to be clear. I'm not like a fanboy. I'm not praying to this photo every night. I just thought it would be cool to show you on this thing. Anyway, so my name is done. Like, it was like 10 seconds, but it had such good energy and it was so like humorous, and I could just see, okay, this is someone I would want to work with, right? So when you're on these like loom and you're like, hey, my name is Scott, and like the reason I think I'd be a good fit for your team is because I'm like, oh, this guy looks like a dull brick. Like I would never work with this guy. So that's my point, is like, take pride in the setup, the audio quality, Because again, it's like, I'm not going to hire you if it sounds like shit and I can't even understand you. All I'm thinking then is imagine him on a team meeting. I'm not going to be able to understand him on there either. That's going to get annoying. It's just for all of that shit, right? And then the third thing is like really showcase your character, okay? In whatever way you can, just showcase a little bit, like a little fucking taste of the character. That's all you need to do, okay? So hopefully between this, because mine's a little bit more like, I'm looking for the type of person, whereas Jackson's was very tactical. Here's what you need to do, step by step, how you need to prepare, questions for the interviews, all of this stuff, because he's a fucking G. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Like always, when it comes to closing and discovery calls and that stuff, I'm always going to be able to build out trainings and do stuff on there. When it comes to topics like appointment setting, which, I know how to be a beast of an appointment setter, but it's not what I live and breathe every day. Okay, same thing with Jackson. Like, I know what I'm looking for personally as a hiring manager, but Jackson knows what all of these different types of business owners are looking for. He knows what makes a great loom. He knows all of these intricate things because he is the bridge between the two, between the business owner and the sales rep. Okay, so I'm always going to bring on amazing talent. I appreciate so much the comments on Jalen's one because I got some great fucking comments from that. So I hope I get the same here with the Jackson one. If there are any types of videos that you would like to see, please let me know. Because so far, I've had a message about appointment setting and I've had a couple of messages around finding an offer. So I've fulfilled on both of the requests, okay? So if there's a specific thing you need to see, let me know because I'm very in tune with what people actually want. I'm not just gonna make some random videos that doesn't benefit anyone just to inflate my ego. I actually wanna help you guys, okay? I don't really need to be making this YouTube channel the sales one. My focus is on signing business owners. So I should be putting more focus into that one, but I like doing this. I love doing this. I love benefiting people. I like growing my brand, but I'm not fucking, trying to sell you into anything. I don't have my own sales coaching, none of that shit. It's literally just like, here is some value, enjoy. Because I know off the back of that, there'll be some connections that I get from business owners. So that on the flip side, if you're already on an offer and you got a business and the owner's making at least 50 plus K a month, that would be absolute bare bones, normally around 100K a month, feel free to kind of make that connection. Other than that, I'll catch you all soon. Hope you enjoyed this different dynamic. Hopefully when it gets later tonight, there won't be a reflection so that I can actually make the business YouTube video. Anyway, I'm rambling. Peace and love. Catch you very soon.